Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing one of my favorite types of videos to do, and that is a seasonal TBR. I always love selecting a list of about 10 books every single season that I can kind of choose from and hopefully focus on. Most of the time I try to make them very seasonally appropriate reads. I'd say for this list I didn't do as good of a job of that. I think about half of them are really good spring reads and half of them are just really not, honestly. But I still feel like it's a really good mix. I feel like I have some really good books that I'm hoping to read very soon. So we're just gonna get into talking about them this morning and I cannot wait. So let's get into it. Obviously the ones that I would like to start out with first are the ones that I would deem like very spring appropriate reads. For some of them it's just a vibe that I'm getting from them that I should read them in spring. Some of them are very fairy tale. One of them is just like a classic that I feel like needs to be read in spring, like you can't dispute it, it just must be. So without further ado, let me just get into talking about those books. The first one that I have here is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is a book that I have been very aware of for a very long time. Honestly, ever since I got onto BookTube, I've been aware of this book. And I've been wanting to read any of Naomi Novik's books. I also have Spinning Silver on my physical TBR that I also have not gotten to. But that one's a very wintry book. I was gonna read it this winter and then alas I did not. So I decided to go ahead and pick up Uprooted anyway and try and read it this spring. I also feel like I could read this honestly anytime. It doesn't really give me specific seasonal vibes, but a fairy tale book for spring just seems right, you know? But basically this book is set in a village where every 10 years, I believe, this wizard, who is known as the Dragon, takes one of these girls from the village. And I would assume the character that we're following ends up getting selected by this wizard. I have no idea what happens in this book beyond that, beyond what is on the back cover, but I'm very interested. I feel like Naomi Novik, especially like this and Spinning Silver, are very beloved books by a lot of people and a lot of people really, really like them. So I've been wanting to try either of them. I feel like Uprooted is a good place to start. I've always wanted to give it a try. I think I've checked it out from the library multiple times and I've never actually read it. But I feel like now is the time to jump into it, jump into this fairy tale-esque story and see what I think about it. Next up, I do have another kind of fairy tale sort of book, and that is A Spindle Splintered by Alex E. Harrow. This is a very short book. It's just a little guy. How long is this? Like 100 pages? Oh, it's got illustrations. It's about 120 pages, I would say. And I've read multiple other books from Alex E. Harrow, actually maybe just two. But both of them I really enjoyed, so I went looking to see if Alex E. Harrow had any other work, and I've been, you know, kind of aware of this one as well, so I decided this seemed like a good kind of spring read. I do believe this is a retelling somewhat of Sleeping Beauty. I think our main character, this might take place in the real world potentially, but our main character has this rare condition where she's not going to live past the age of 21. So her friend wants to make her last birthday party really special and she ends up giving her this like Sleeping Beauty experience thing, and our main character, you know, goes through all of it. It's fine, whatever, but she ends up pricking her finger on the spinning wheel and I think some unexpected things happen. What happens, I don't know, but it says she finds herself falling through worlds with another Sleeping Beauty just as desperate to escape her fate. So that sounds really interesting. I don't know how that's going to be tackled in 120 pages, but I'm interested to see. I always love seeing how authors are able to execute novellas because you just have so little page time to tell a full and complete story. So I've been wanting to read this one for a while and I feel like spring feels like the appropriate season for it. Perhaps I should read both of these books in the same video and have a little fairy tale kind of esque situation. I don't know. Then next up is a classic that I've been wanting to read for so long. I'm sure I've put this on other spring TBRs and I didn't get to it then either. But I so desperately want to read The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. It is like the quintessential spring classic, obviously. It's following our main characters who are a bunch of anthropomorphic animals. You have, you know, like Mr. Toad, I think there's a badger, a mole, maybe? I don't know, honestly. I don't really know what they're getting up to in this one. I don't exactly know like what the plot of The Wind in the Willows is. All I know is it's a quintessential spring kind of read that I've been wanting to read for so long. I currently don't have a copy of this book. I've been trying to figure out what copy I want to buy because I know there's some really beautiful illustrated versions, but there are also some versions that I really like that don't have illustrations in them. But I'm like, I feel like I want one with illustrations in them. I know there are illustrations done by Inga Moore. I believe they're so beautiful, and they are the illustrations that I think of every time I think of Wind in the Willows. So I'd like to find a copy that has those in them, potentially. So I need to sort that out, but I absolutely want to read The Wind in the Willows. Also, one of my favorite kind of Disney short movie things, I suppose, is this double feature that they have that is showcasing like quintessential stories from both British and American authors. So they have The Wind in the Willows following Mr. Toad, and then the other half is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. I love that special. I watch it quite frequently, so I've been wanting to read The Wind in the Willows as well, to like, you know, get the other half of it, because I love The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and I have read it multiple times. So the fact that I haven't read The Wind in the Willows, kind of criminal, honestly. So that is another one of my goals for the spring, is to read that. And then lastly, I have 2 translated works that I've been really wanting to get to. The first one is on my 2025 TBR, so I'm really hoping I can read this one, and that is We'll Prescribe You a Cat by Shu Ashita. Honestly, I have been a little bit hesitant going into, honestly, any translated work about cats, because I just feel like they're gonna be sad. I feel like the cats are gonna die. I don't know if they will, but like, something about them, I'm just like, I don't trust it. Like, how are we having a conversation about cats and they're not gonna die to show the profound impact that they have on humans? I don't know. But I still want to read it. I've still been really excited about this one. I think this is kind of like a short story collection of sorts, but it all kind of has the same through line of this clinic, place, whatever, that literally prescribes people cats. So I'm really excited to dive into this one and see what I think about it. There are also so many other Japanese translated works that involve cats that I would like to read as well. So maybe this will spark a little bit of a trend in my reading. Or maybe I'll be sad when I read this book and it won't. We'll see. But regardless, I cannot wait to get to this one. Then next up, I have a book that is translated from Korean, and that is The Rainfall Market by Yu Young-gwang. The way that this book is described is very compelling to me. I mean, just listen to the first little bit of this. It says, on the first day of the monsoon, an old ramshackle building appears. This is the Rainfall Market. Inside you will find magical bookstores, hairdressers, perfumeries, and anything your heart desires, but you cannot enter without an invitation. And I believe we're following our main character, Saren, who, along with her cat, because obviously why would she not be accompanied by her cat, gets a ticket to the Rainfall Market, and she gets to go in there and, like, you know, swap her life for a new and better one, basically. But there's a catch. If she does not kind of find her dream life within a week, she is stuck in the Rainfall Market forever. So that'll just obviously sound so good. As soon as I heard the description of this book, I was like, yeah, I want to give it a try, obviously. It just sounds so magical with a little bit of a sinister undertone to it, which I can definitely get into. And I cannot wait to jump into this book. So now that we've gone through all of the kind of more spring-esque books in this TBR, we can move into talking about the typical fare that I normally read all year round. But before that, I actually do want to take a second to quickly thank the sponsor of this video, which is Skillshare. Obviously, I have, you know, a bunch of books that I would like to read in the season of spring, but I also have a bunch of things that I would like to do. And a lot of those things are very crafty, so Skillshare definitely comes in handy when I kind of want to pick up a new skill and try something out for the season to come. If you guys don't know what Skillshare is, it is the world's largest online learning community full of thousands of different classes that you can possibly take in so many different subjects that are all led by industry professionals. And it is the perfect place to learn a new skill or improve a skill that you already have. Recently, I've been very interested in cross stitch and I've really been wanting to kind of get into that and try it out a little bit. It's very similar to embroidery, but I've never specifically done cross stitch before, so I decided to jump onto Skillshare and check out the classes that they had that pertain to it. And they had a bunch of different classes that were really helpful that I decided to kind of watch through, and I feel like I'm ready for my cross-stitch journey. So I watched some videos on, you know, the cross-stitch basics. I watched a video on how to make your own patterns, which is very daunting, but very interesting to me. And then I also watched a video on how to add embellishments to a cross-stitch design, which can be really fun in the future. So Skillshare really helped me out with this one. I'm very excited to get into trying some cross-stitch. Specifically, I want to make cross-stitch bookmarks. It looks so fun. So that's going to be my first kind of crack at things, and I cannot wait to get into doing that. But if cross-stitch isn't necessarily something that you are interested in, they do have so many other different classes that you can check out, and things such as crafts and DIYs, art and photography, literally anything you could want to know more about, they're gonna have it. So if any of that sounds interesting to you guys, I will leave a link to Skillshare down below, and the first 500 people that click that link will get their first month of Skillshare for free. So thank you again so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video and supporting me and my channel, and to you guys who are watching this video as well for always supporting me and my channel. Your support means the absolute world to me, and I'm so happy that you're here. So with that, let me get into the other 5 books that I have on my spring TBR. The first ones that I want to talk about are kind of a package deal because they are 2 books, but they're in the same series. Because I am still continuing on my speed read on my Patreon, which is my 9-month-long readathon for the Veronica Speedwell series by Deanna Raybourn. In the first 3 months of the year, we read the first 3 books in the series, so in the coming months, we will be continuing on with that. So in April, we will be reading my #1 favorite in the series. It's so good. A Dangerous Collaboration. I love her. I live for her. Thank you. And then on a different note, in what's the next month? May, we're going to be reading A Murderous Relation, which, you know, not really a favorite of mine in the series. How the Mighty Have Fallen, honestly. No, it's not that bad. I'm honestly pretty interested to reread A Murderous Relation and see if I like it more this time around. I feel like I maybe got a little bit too excited based on the synopsis of this one, and when it didn't deliver, I was very disappointed. But now I know to not read the synopsis of Veronica Speedwell books, and I'm a much happier person when I don't do that. So these are what we're going to be reading in April and May, and then in June we're going to be reading, again, another book in the series that I don't like that much. But it's fine. The rest of the series is stunning enough that it can support some duds, so it's all good. But I cannot wait for these, specifically, obviously, A Dangerous Collaboration. And this one, Veronica and Stoker, I believe go to the coast. I think they go to Cornwall, maybe? And I just love the vibes of this one because it's a very superstitious, like, area that they go to. So there's a lot of talk of, like, fairies and local folklore. Obviously, this is not, like, a magical series in any way. It's just, like, the discussion of it. But I love that. And I also love the kind of development in Veronica and Stoker's relationship in this one. Like, I'm going to be living when I'm rereading this book. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And it's gonna be so good, so I cannot wait. Then the last 4 on here I have are some fantasy and sci-fi picks, so the, you know, standard stuff we do around here. The first one is one that I cannot wait to get into because so many people have been loving this book recently, and I need to read it, and that is obviously Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. This is a series that so many people have been picking up recently and just have been absolutely loving, and from what everybody's been saying about it, I feel like I'm also going to absolutely love it. It sounds like just a little bit ridiculous, it sounds very funny, which are all things that I tend to love in a fantasy book. Basically, in this one, there's been this, like, world ending kind of event, sort of, and everybody's been sent underground into these dungeons, and our main character Carl ends up getting sent into one of these dungeons with his ex-girlfriend's cat. What's her name? Princess Donut. I was like, I know it's something ridiculous. And I think there's this, like, reality game show thing that's following people in this dungeon as they try to survive, basically, and, like, advance into more difficult dungeons, I believe. So it sounds so good. This is honestly a 5-star prediction for me. I feel like I'm really gonna like it, and I'm going to want to continue on the series, so I cannot wait to dive into Dungeon Crawler Carl. Also, I just noticed that the little cat on this cover is wearing, like, a little hat. Do you see this? It's just, this book looks so ridiculous, and I cannot wait to get into it. Then the next book I have is actually my Patreon buddy read in April, so I'm very excited to read this with everybody and have our live show about it, and that is The Will of the Many by James Islington. This is a book that I've had on my TBR for about a year now, I think. I've been wanting to read it, but I just haven't gotten around to it because it's very chunky. I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, it isn't that long. It's only like 600 pages, which really isn't that crazy for a fantasy book. But I've just been putting it off. I also feel like this book makes it look really thick, you know? Anyway, I'm excited about it regardless because so many people read this back in 2023, I think is when it came out, and it was like on their top books of the year list. So naturally, I've been wanting to get into it. I believe this is like a Roman-inspired fantasy story that takes place in a magical academy of sorts. I don't know anything else about it, honestly. That's all I got, but I know people love it. I don't need to know anything else about it. Sometimes, you know, jumping into a fantasy book and not knowing much of anything is fun. So that's kind of what I'm gonna do with this book. I'm sorry for the lack of a synopsis with this one, but I'm very excited about it. Also, you could come join my Patreon if you want to chat with everybody about it in the month of April. It's gonna be so fun. It's gonna be great. So there's that one. Then next up I have another book that I'm really excited about because I'm going to be reading more of the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. I've done some thinking about how I want to read Discworld recently, and originally I was gonna just like kind of jump around in the series and do it that way, but last week I decided, you know, maybe I should start from the beginning. I know a lot of people don't really recommend starting from the beginning because the first 2 books aren't the best, but I'm basically committed to reading a bunch of Discworld books. I know I like them. I know I'm going to want to continue on with the series, so if the first 2 books aren't that great, I don't care. I'm gonna read more of them. So over the last week, I read both The Color of Magic and The Light Fantastic, which are the first 2 books in the series. I've also read the 3rd one because I started with the 3rd book in the series, and I believe number 4 is this one, which is Mort, which I want to read in spring. But if you guys don't know, Discworld, which is like an absurdist kind of fantasy series that I'm really enjoying so far. Basically, it is split into a bunch of different series that kind of follow a bunch of different types of people. So there's like a series that focuses on wizards, on the witches, on the City Watch, and then another one that focuses on the personification of death. So I honestly don't know exactly what this book is about, but I already know that I really like Death as a character because he has popped up in all of the other books that I've read so far, and I know he continues to pop up in a bunch of other books in Discworld. So I've been really interested to get to his story specifically. I just don't know what this one's about, but regardless, I'm excited. I love Discworld. I love Terry Pratchett's humor. I love his writing. It's very dry but really witty, which is honestly like my kind of humor. So I've very much been enjoying getting back into Discworld recently, so I'm very excited and very motivated to read some more of it. So hopefully I will be reading Mort in the coming months. And then the last book on this TBR is a book that I'm very excited about because it is the next book that I have to read in the Murderbot Diaries series, and that is Network Effect by Martha Wells. This is the first and kind of only like full-length Murderbot book because all of the other books so far have been like novella length, so 120-ish pages, maybe a little bit longer, but pretty short, you know. But Network Effect is a full 350 pages. I'm really interested to read a Murderbot book that is not a novella. I just feel like it's gonna be a different experience, but probably a very enjoyable experience. I again don't really know what this book specifically is about. Can you tell that I don't like to go into fantasy books knowing much about them? I like a general gist, but like anything else seems superfluous and I don't need to know it to want to read the book. But I'm sure we're just going to be following Murderbot as it tries to not care about the humans that it is supposed to be protecting, and then it will eventually end up caring about the humans. So that's kind of how all of them have gone. That's how I would like this one to go. So I suppose we'll see, but I will for sure be reading this one. I feel like I'm very close to finishing Murderbot. I mean, what's out of Murderbot so far, which is honestly a little bit sad, but I'm also just excited. I'm also really excited for the TV show that is coming out in June, I think. I don't even have an Apple TV whatever subscription, but I'll get one so I can watch Murderbot. So I cannot wait for that, and I just want to read more Murderbot because it is so fun. If you guys don't know like the general kind of premise of Murderbot, basically you're following this robot who has like hacked its own governor module, meaning it now has like autonomy over itself and it can kind of just do whatever, as opposed to the company who created it being able to control it. And the entire series has kind of been focusing on Murderbot as it figures out what to do with this freedom. It also kind of doesn't want to do a whole lot of anything, and it wants to sit around and watch its soaps, which it's just so funny. It's such a great blend of humor with like really interesting character development. It's so good. But anyway, that is the last book that I have on my spring TBR. I only had 10. I wanted to keep it manageable. Maybe I'll actually read all of them. Who knows? But obviously I would love to know down below what are some of the books that are on your spring TBR. Do we happen to share any? I would love to chat with you guys in the comments. Also, before we go, I would again like to thank Skillshare so much for sponsoring this video. Don't forget, I will leave a link to them down below, and the first 500 people that click that link will get their first month of Skillshare for free. I also would like to thank everybody over on my Patreon. If you are ever looking for more content from me, that is always linked down below. We do some fun stuff. We do monthly buddy reads. We do readathons. I do reading sprints most weekends these days. It's just a fun time, so if you want to check it out, you totally can. But with that, I'm going to let you guys go. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and with that, I will see you all in my next one. Bye!